Switch firmware update 10.0.0 came out recently and brought with it the ability to remap any button on your controller on the system level. So if a video game doesn't allow for certain control schemes, you can force it to. This is very unlike Nintendo, who usually try to force you to play their games their way. And you might be saying to yourself, so what? Who cares? I usually like to play games with the default control scheme anyway. Good for you. I'm usually the same way. Or I was until I found some of these control schemes that kind of feel more like straight up hacks. This video is sponsored by Trade Coffee. My quarantine hobby has been coffee. I've been down quite a YouTube rabbit hole. It's probably not the best idea for you to go grocery shopping right now, especially if you've got the type of lines that I'm seeing by me lately. Let Trade discover new coffees for you from top roasters based on your personal tastes while you stay inside. All you have to do is take a nice, easy quiz, or just pick the coffees you want if you're a know-it-all, and Trade will ship it right to your door. Rate the ones you got and either reorder them or try something else next time. I've been dying to try this service, and I'm so happy that they hooked it up, because trying to find artisan coffee that you'll actually like isn't easy. Don't tell the coffee snobs that I like a little bit of milk and sugar in my coffee. The first 100 viewers who click the link below will get 30% off their first bag when they sign up, and free shipping is included. So thank you, Trade, for helping support this channel, but more importantly, supporting me as a person. Let's first talk about what controller remapping can and can't do, and then we'll go into what some of the applications are that might be of interest to you. It's very simple. All you gotta do is go into your system settings and head over to controllers and sensors, and you'll see the new change button mapping option. From here, you can remap any button to any other button. So you can have mostly A buttons if you really wanted to. The only stipulation is that there must be A and B buttons somewhere on the controller for menu navigation. You can also remap the D-pad directions to any button. Unfortunately, you can't remap the D-pad to a thumbstick input. You're gonna need something like an 8-bit do Lite for that or something. You can, however, swap the thumbsticks. You could also change the middle click to be whatever button you want. After you make all your adjustments, you can save your new mapping as a profile, and your Switch will remember that setting for your specific controller every time you connect it. So if you have multiple controllers, you can have multiple mappings. So if you have a controller that you only use for Animal Crossing and you have a certain control scheme you like to play with Animal Crossing, the Switch will save that setting and always use that setting. Of course, it'll give you a warning that the control scheme has been changed every time you connect the controller. It also has a little icon in the bottom left corner of the screen to signify that it's using a modified control scheme. In the patch notes, it says that button remapping only supports the Pro Controller, the Joy-Con, and the Switch Lite system itself. However, button remapping supports a whole bunch of unofficial third-party controllers too. I guess they just didn't want to have the responsibility of regulating them all, and I totally understand that. It seems like it doesn't like wired controllers for whatever reason. It doesn't work with the official Nintendo GameCube controller either. The SN30 Pro and Pro Plus both get registered as Pro controllers, so these controllers work with the new button remapping feature. A lot of 8-bit do stuff gets registered as a Pro controller, so they will work. Their M30, which is basically a Sega Genesis controller, is fully remappable for this reason, which is perfect because this controller was essentially useless before. Now, I use this layout for the Sega Genesis Classics collection so that all buttons get registered just like they would on a Sega Genesis. And my Switch will remember this layout just for this controller. And why else would I use this controller if it's not for playing Sega Genesis games? It was actually a massive pain in the ass to figure out this mapping. Not a single button on the controller registered the same button that it's named after. It was like decoding a cipher. Perhaps a simpler and more useful remapping might be Breath of the Wild. Chances are, if you bought a Nintendo Switch in 2017 or 2018, you have this game, and you've been slightly annoyed at the controls after coming back to it from any other third-person game. By default, running is done with the B button, By far the most popular use for button remapping that I've seen has just been swapping the left stick click with the B button. So now the left stick click is run and B is crouch, which makes a lot more sense. More important to my interest is Mario. When the NES Switch Online games were first announced, one of our main concerns was the controller layout. Will you be able to use Y and B just like you do in the SNES Mario games? And the answer is no, for some stupid reason. You can't edit controls in the app, but they do give you the option to use both B and X as the B button. So you can use the top half of the controller for NES Mario, which has been fine for me, but I know this really, really annoyed my brother.
I have a really hard time playing NES games on a 4-button controller because I'm used to like 2 buttons each other.
Yeah.
And I get why. It's for UI issues. It's so that in the game, if it says press the B button, you can press the B button on the controller. But there's no reason not to give us the option, right? And now we have the option. Obviously, now you can map Y to the NES's B button and B to the NES's A button. So you can play Super Mario Bros. 1 and 3 just like you played on the Mario All-Stars collection. And no, I'm not leaving any other game out. I play a lot of Mario Maker, and I didn't play a lot of Super Mario World back in the day. So now going back to Super Mario World, it really messed me up. Did you know that A was spin jump? Because I sure didn't. So now you can switch spin jump to the triggers, just like in Mario Maker. Or if you're more used to Mario World, maybe you're an old school Kaizo player, you can remap spin jump to A in Mario Maker. So now you can play Mario Maker just like it's an old school Kaizo ROM hack. The first thing that came to mind for me when I heard about button remapping was Smash Brothers. You might not be able to remap a GameCube controller, but there are still a lot of people that use Pro controllers with Smash Brothers. Not Joy-Con, get that out of here. When this button remapping update first came out, I saw Sparks post on Twitter talking about how you can make the middle click on the right stick A or B. He made it B so that naturally the stick acts as a tilt stick, but when he presses in at the right time, it'll act as a B stick. Now you can enable a tilt stick or a B stick in the game, but he found a way to have both at the same time. Unfortunately, he makes it look a lot easier than it is. Some higher level players might be able to make these techs work for them, but it just isn't for me. And it certainly won't get me to switch from using a GameCube controller to a Pro controller. AJ, however, does use a Pro controller for Smash, and he did find a use case for this controller remapping. He remapped the right stick click to jump. Yeah, I'll let him explain that one.
The need to approach with backwards aerial attacks is very common amongst characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. For my main specifically, Pokemon Trainer, it's essential. It affords me relatively safe options for approaching, spacing, and closing the deal on a stock. By mapping R both to jump in the button remapping menu and to tilt stick in the ultimate control settings, you're able to simplify this input. Now, instead of needing to dash, then shift your momentum, then attack, you can do it all in one relatively fluid motion. This will also lessen the distance your character needs to travel to consistently pull it off, and I mean, it'll probably save you some hand pain along the way. Finally, I'd like to add that chances are any kind of button remapping like this likely won't be seamlessly integrated into your playstyle. If you want to really get the most out of it, it'll take labbing it out in training mode and in matches for a bit to really commit to muscle memory. So be ready to lose for more than you're used to for a while until you get a hang of the change. And hey, it's not for everyone, so don't feel the need to commit to it if you don't see any real improvement after you feel like the muscle memory has really sunk in.
This whole remapping situation also brought into question whether or not this would be legal in Smash tournaments. It seems like it would prolong setup time. Otherwise, I don't see why not. It's not breaking the game or anything. That's all I've got for very specific use cases, but as a more general use case, let's say maybe you don't have a turbo button and you would like one. Well, you can remap the same button to 2 of the triggers as a layman's turbo button. And just do this. It's like having a dual trigger on a paintball gun. It's like a pseudo rapid fire. Use this to blast through your Animal Crossing crafting or your Mario Maker balloon popping. A broader option might be to make games with simple control schemes playable with just one hand. For example, since you can flip the right stick and left stick clicks, you can make Animal Crossing playable with just the right Joy-Con. Just use this control scheme you see on screen. The same goes for Pokemon Sword and Shield, as long as you're okay with losing control of the camera in the wild area. You could also play NES games with one hand, maybe some Mario games. You could play Sonic games with just one hand.
This is more comfortable because you only need one finger on the trigger. You don't need both.
So maybe editing control schemes isn't exactly for you, but it becomes super useful for people with accessibility issues. Maybe they have limited dexterity in some of their fingers. They can remap a button to be used by another finger, or they can completely change hands. I haven't dabbled around with the Microsoft accessibility controller yet, which you can get to work with the Switch if you get a certain adapter, but this sounds like it would help in conjunction with that too. I personally almost never edit in-game controls, which should be apparent to you by my trash Falcon. But when I want to do certain things, like for example, use my M30 to play Sega Genesis games and I can't, or I want to play Mario the right way, then this button remapping saves the day. It's a great feature that nobody knew that we needed, and just because everybody wants folders and home screen themes doesn't mean that we can't enjoy a random feature like button remapping, right? So what do you guys think about these uses for button remapping? Is there anything here that you want to try out yourself? Did this help you at all? Or are there things that you're using button remapping for that I didn't mention in this video? Do you have any ideas that would be useful to me? Leave them in the comments below. Add me on Twitter and any and all of this other social media garbage. Special thanks to AJ for explaining his use case for button remapping. You can check him out at youtube.com/fanatics4. And also thank you to Trade for sponsoring this video and also for getting me just so much coffee exactly when I needed it. I was out and I didn't want to go anywhere. Anyway, we got new videos and live streams here all the time. Our schedule is usually in a pinned tweet over on our Twitter. We got Wulff Den live every single Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. That's our live podcast where we can hang out and chat in real time. And I got streams over on twitch.tv/WulffDen that I've been doing a lot more than usual now because I don't leave ever. In fact, if you go over there, I could be live right now. You can say hi to me. And if I'm not live, click that bell so you know when I do go live. But of course, the most important things that you can do to help support the channel, and the easiest thing, is just subscribe so that you know when there's new videos and stuff. And share this video with a friend who likes to tinker around. Maybe they got their own use case for button remapping. Maybe if they play any of these games, I can help them out a little bit. Maybe if they have limited dexterity, they can learn a little bit from this too and figure out something for themselves. Thank you guys very much. You have yourself a very good week. Oh, what about people who want to play Animal Crossing with one hand and eat with the other hand? Or they don't want to get their Cheeto dust all over their controller. Don't fade out.